I'm Teresa Matic with Resource Investing News. I'm down at the Vancouver Resource Investment Conference. With me today is Elmer Stewart, CEO of Copper Fox Metals. Thank you for joining me.
You're welcome.
So you've just released your first resource estimate at Van Dyke. Any surprises there? Was that what you expected?
I was expecting that. The good news is the deposit is open, so it can be larger than we anticipated. And the number we come up with is more than we were anticipating based on the historical estimate. So yeah, it's got some size potential, and very pleased with what we got so far.
Excellent to hear. And Van Dyke is a potential in-situ copper project. So could you explain what the benefits are for that type of mining relative to other projects?
Well, there's multiple benefits. From an environmental point of view, they're environmentally a lot more friendlier. Because you don't have open pits, you're not moving dirt, no noise, less dust, things of that. From an economic standpoint, they do employ a lot of people. They do contribute a lot of money to the state in Arizona and the towns. And from an economic standpoint, from the company standpoint, good medium-sized copper producers, low costs to produce a pound of copper on a total copper basis, a C3 basis. They're low capital intensity on the front end. The sustaining capital is a little higher. But once you get them up and running, they usually run pretty well by themselves. So overall, it's I think that's where it's going, because if the state of Arizona has been telling us that to get the permits down there, they're more lenient toward giving the permits for an in-situ leaching as opposed to digging another open pit.
Okay. And conversely, are there any challenges related to in-situ mining?
Of course, there's always challenges. Clearly, it would be the regulatory process you've got to go through, and that's all right. We've got to make sure the work we do definitely protects the environment, and at the same time, being able to raise the capital to move the project forward, and clearly then dealing with the state and the local officials would be the biggest challenges I see going forward.
And you also have an interest in the Eaglehead porphyry in British Columbia, which you started funding last year. What's the draw there?
I think it's another Schaft Creek. The work we did this summer with the guys at Carmax clearly indicated that the potential of the project is quite large. All the characteristics we see there are very similar to what we've seen at Schaft Creek, which is a very large porphyry system in northern British Columbia. And yes, it needs a lot more exploration, but it sure indicates to me it's got the potential to be the next large deposit in British Columbia.
That's exciting. Mm-hmm. How do you see copper prices performing this year?
Oh, I'm looking forward to an increase in copper prices going forward. I think what happened over the last couple of weeks has been sort of more like a bear raid on a bunch of hedge funds who drove the price of copper down. And I do believe there is a big supply deficit looming in the future. I think BHP and Rio Tinto and the other copper producers are telling us that. Fundamentally, I see that because we don't have the capacity to develop the mines that we need to meet the supplies or the demand equation. And with the geopolitical issues around the world right now, I just think it's going to be very difficult for companies to maintain the production or even want to go into some of these jurisdictions to develop mines. And so I think going forward, I think the price of copper is going to go up. I think it has to go up. And irrespective of what people say about the world economy, everybody continues to forget about India. India's got 1.3 billion people. They got a middle class that's growing, and their new premier there, Modi, has just made some very, very strong pronouncements. He wants to bring India into the 21st century. And I think when they do that, they're going to rival China as far as consumption of commodities.
Okay. And as far as the junior space goes, are there any other junior mining companies on your radar in the copper space?
Just one, Carmax Mining.
Of course. Thanks for joining me today, Elmer.
Pleasure.
Copper Fox trades on the TSXV under the symbol CUU. For Resource Investing News, I'm Teresa Matic.